Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to go over the XFL Power Rankings with the XFL 3.0 starting back up. This is a great opportunity to take a look at some of these rosters and decipher who are the top teams heading into this season. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more XFL content. Now, starting at number 8, we are going to have the Houston Roughnecks. The Houston Roughnecks have some upside in terms of what the roster potential could be. Some of the notable players, quarterback Brandon Silvers, if you remember, he had played, for Seattle a couple of years ago in the XFL startup. You have Chauncey Rivers, the edge, if you'll remember him from Last Chance U, was one of the fan favorites in that Netflix series. And also Raleigh Tejada and Kerry Vincent, two corners that are going to be outstanding for this team. However, I have some concerns about the playmakers on this team. I think Kirkland's probably going to have the biggest impact in the wide receiver room, productive receiver at LSU. I think when you kind of look at the holistic roster, you have arguably the best coach in Wade Phillips, the most experience with Wade Phillips. He's put together a nice staff. Now, I just have some general concerns about how is this team going to do when it comes to, the regular season here. I just have some question marks about some perimeter talent. The trenches are okay, but in terms of actual perimeter talent and beating guys one-on-one, I'm not exactly sure if this team has the actual explosiveness and big playability that others have seen, in the past with the Roughnecks. They were arguably the best team in the XFL when they had PJ Walker. This is a different crew. This is a different team. So the Roughnecks here, I'm a little hesitant just because of how good of a coach Wade Phillips is. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at actual talent and everything, I do have some concerns here. Number 7, we have the Orlando Guardians, and Orlando's got a nice receiving core. Eli Rogers, Cody Latimer, two talented guys that has seen some production in the NFL, more specifically Eli Rogers. Cody Latimer struggled to find some footing in the league. However, he does have some draft pedigree. I believe he was a second-round draft choice by the Giants. I think when you look across the board, Gerald Willis is another one that you have to look at in the interior of that defensive line. Super productive pass rusher from Miami, can really get after it. When the draft process was going around during his time, he was thought to be maybe a mid-second round pick to an early third round pick, ends up sliding. And when you look at Gerald Willis, I think his actual physical, what he brings to the table from a physicality standpoint is incredible. So looking at that, I'm pretty excited about what he has to offer on the defensive side of the football. Running back Kelvin Taylor, another one from Florida. I think he's going to have a nice season. If you're looking kind of on the fantasy aspect of everything here, he is one you're going to want to keep your eye on. I think this is going to be a run-heavy offense, and holistically speaking, this could be exciting. Now, we don't know the quarterback situation just yet. It has not fully been confirmed. Is it going to be DeAndre Francois? Is it going to be Paxton Lynch? Those are probably the top two in terms of the head-to-head QB battle. And I think Paxton Lynch will probably win the job. Don't get me wrong. Francois is a very exciting quarterback. Remember, his time at Florida State was electrifying. But I think Paxton Lynch is going to win out this job. Orlando, once again, they got a couple of playmakers a little bit better than what I've seen from the Roughnecks. But at the end of the day, holistically, there's some unproven commodities on this roster you have to keep your eye out for. And to me, Orlando, they're a good team. Could be a good team. But I have some long-term questions here. Now at number 6, you got the San Antonio Brahmas. San Antonio Brahmas, coached by Hines Ward. This is a fun team. You look at Kalen Ballage. You look at TJ Vasher. You look at Jack Cohn as the quarterback, the former Notre Dame QB. I think that this team, talent-wise, sits above, the other two, but overall, I think he's have a little more top-end talent here at the corner spot. When you look at Luke Barku, he's a player that I feel could have gotten a few more chances in the league before having to jump into this, but nevertheless, he is going to provide himself a great platform and opportunity for himself. I think he's an NFL level corner. I really firmly believe that. Wasn't able to catch on with Jacksonville as a UDFA. You also have Kalen Ballage, which he is a guy that is going to be insanely productive at this level. You last remember him with his NFL stints with Miami and, the LA Chargers. San Antonio's got a pretty good team here, and I think holistically speaking, they could do some nice things moving forward. I kind of like what they have on offense. I do have some question marks about Cohn as a QB. I didn't love him as an NFL draft prospect. I don't absolutely love him right now. I think there's some other quarterbacks that are going to be more productive, more consistent, more accurate than what we're going to see out of Jack Cohn. Now, on the next team here, we have the Seattle Sea Dragons. Now, in terms of actual probably best player in the league, Josh Gordon has to be at the top of that list. Josh Gordon is paired up with quarterback Ben DiNucci. If you remember his one start in 2020 with the Dallas Cowboys, probably the most notable players that they're going to have on this roster. There's a couple of unsung heroes that you're not going to hear a ton about. Mikael Wright is one of them that you have to consider. TJ Hammonds from Arkansas, the running back. These are some guys that are going to see some uptick in production at the XFL level. But I think the main reason why you have to keep Seattle at least at number 5, the rest of the roster, there are some guys that are going to be, coming out of nowhere here per se. But I don't know that I believe in the core outside of, DiNucci and Josh Gordon. I think Josh Gordon could win MVP of the league. This guy is super talented. If you think about his 1,600-yard season that he had year 2 with the Cleveland Browns, had a lot of issues throughout the course of his career, very well documented during that time frame. But at the end of the day, he's a 31-year-old receiver with, a lot to still try to play for here. I think he can catch on with an NFL roster once again. He's done it in the past. This is a great opportunity for him to re-showcase what he is as an actual player, to get sheer volume. All those things are going to stack together and play well for him. Josh Gordon, to me, will be the XFL MVP at the end of the season. A lot of times it's going to go to a quarterback, but I think he has a real shot outside of the QBs. There's another MVP candidate I do want to talk about a little bit later, but Seattle at 5. At number 4, we have the DC Defenders. DC Defenders are loaded in terms of the QB and running back spot. Abram Smith from Baylor, super, super productive running back. I think this is a guy that in the XFL is absolutely going to thrive. He's going to be a high volume carry running back. But the main storyline to this is Jordan Ta'amu. Jordan Ta'amu is a guy that played in the USFL, played in the XFL. He is a seasoned veteran. He's a guy that you want to be quarterbacking your team. There's a couple of these guys in the league that you're like, yeah, that just makes sense to have him around. Raquel Armstead at the running back spot. You got Puka Williams as well, who's going to be kind of a Swiss Army knife, if you may say. He's going to run a couple of routes at receiver. He's a running back as well. Josh Malone and Josh Hammond, 2 wide receivers that I expect to be insanely productive with Jordan Ta'amu. Jordan Ta'amu is a dual threat quarterback, big physical, imposing QB. I think when you look at what this team has to offer, it's pretty fun. It's really, really exciting to see what the defenders can do. Defensively, I think there's a little more limitations with this team. There's not as many playmakers and impact players on that side of the ball, but I think their offense is going to be top tier in the XFL, mainly because of the run game that they're going to have. You think about the sheer volume that, Smith is going to accumulate here, and also Jordan Ta'amu just being that experienced veteran that is going to shine once again at the XFL level. Number 3, we got the St. Louis Battlehawks. St. Louis is in a position where they have probably, for talent-wise, the most talented QB in the entire XFL in A.J. McCarron. And you have 2 receivers that are super exciting to me, Marcel Aitman and Hakeem Butler. Hakeem Butler's 6'6". Marcel Aitman is 6'4". You have some of the biggest receivers in the entire league. Overall, those are players to get excited about. Brian Hill, the running back from Wyoming, if you recall his stint with the Atlanta Falcons, had a little bit of production there. Another reason to get excited about that run game. A couple of other notable names, Willie Harvey and Lucas Dennis. I think when you look across the board here, this is a good team. Once again, defensively, a couple of other questions, but this is going to be a high-octane offense, in my opinion. Hakeem Butler, I feel like just, athletically in terms of his straight line speed and route running was held back a little bit from making an NFL roster. Marcel Aitman, the same way. But when it comes to the XFL, just being physically imposing goes a long ways. These are some of the guys that, from a skill and technical standpoint, weren't able to make it in the league. However, with their physicality, their ability to high point of football, this is a phenomenal offense to try to watch. And I think St. Louis is right there. Number 2, we have the Arlington Renegades. A lot of exciting players on this team. You have Kyle Sloter, Adrian Killens, the running back from UCF. You may not remember Adrian Killens, but he was an absolute stud for UCF. You got Tyler Vaughns. Sal Cannella is going to be the best tight end in the entire XFL. We had seen an immense amount of production with him and Kyle Sloter before. This is going to happen again. There's a reason they repaired these together. Doug Costin, another player that was not able to catch on with Jacksonville, but his first season as a rookie as being a UDFA, very, very productive, very, very productive. I'm surprised that he didn't stay in the league. I just think the league has kind of shifted away from his archetype. However, this is going to be one of the best defensive players that we see in the entire XFL. You can stamp it. This is going to be true, in my opinion. When you look at the actual talent on the defensive side of the ball, when you look at what they have on offense, Bob Stoops did a great job with what he's put together here. I think this is going to be an awesome team to try to watch week in and week out. Arlington is cemented themselves as a true contender in the XFL. Very well could see themselves in the championship game. A lot of firepower. Think about Will Hill on that back end. He's got a lot of experience in, not only the other leagues like the AAF that we've seen him play with the Orlando Apollos, but also with the Baltimore Ravens. Will Hill is a stud. Now, finally, number 1, we have the Vegas Vipers. Now, Vegas is pretty exciting. When you look at their weapons on offense, some of their defensive players, let's kind of roll through some of the notable names. You recall Geronimo Allison, the big body wide receiver for the Packers. You have Martavis Bryant, who had some really nice years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jeff Badette, another seasoned veteran when it comes to the actual, some of these startup leagues. I think their wide receiving core is the best that the XFL has to offer. Now, you look on the offensive line, Isaiah Williams, former first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans, struggled with some other things going on in his life. He was not able to really figure it out and sustain a career, with Tennessee or the NFL. There's a lot of teams that were kind of just staying away from him. Some character issues, they deemed it. I'm not accusing him of that. I'm just saying that's what I've heard in league circles. You also have on the defensive side, Vic Beasley, former first-round pick, super productive pass rusher with the Atlanta Falcons. And I think this is another great opportunity for him to be able to showcase his talents. I think he'll be on a roster next year. I think him, Martavis Bryant will be on a roster. I think Isaiah Williams finds his way back onto a roster. He's young enough yet. And then PJ Dawson, the linebacker from TCU, I really liked him coming out. I think that when you look at his actual skill set, very instinctual linebacker, a guy that fills the gaps well and just understands the concepts of the pass game in good and zone coverage. Overall, Vegas has a great roster. Rod Woodson has a lot to work with out of this. And I think they should be the title contenders, the title favorites heading into the XFL season. There are other people that say it is Arlington. I see it more so being Vegas. Now, the big question mark is at the QB spot. Is this going to be Luis Perez's team? Is it going to be Brett Hundley's? We're not exactly sure yet. We're still awaiting the official confirmation on who the starting quarterback is. At this rate, I think when you look at Luis Perez's, he's been in all of these startup leagues. He's been in the AAF. He's been the XFL. This guy has been through it all. With his experience from Texas A&M Commerce as well, I think this is a quarterback that is very capable of leading a team to a championship. I also look at Brett Hundley's upside, his rushing ability. Brett Hundley is another exciting player. If you think about back when he was at UCLA, absolutely dominant. Another fun player to watch moving forward in this process. So those are my power rankings for the XFL. Let me know in the comment section below. I want you guys to do your power rankings. Let me know who should be the title contenders here. Who are the teams that are going to absolutely flop? I'm excited to see what you guys come up with and see some of your guys' perspectives. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button if you are new to the channel. Be excited for you guys to stick around long term and watch more XFL content. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.